I think in the newsletter he also sent out, right, Michael Gutman? Mhm. Okay. I don't know if everybody saw it, but hope so. I don't know. I just pressed with the microphone over here. Use your microphone. What should I say? Allow you WD what YouTube that wants to use your microphone. Allow. It says listening. Yeah, that's all right.
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. Morning, everybody. We are on Mem Daled Amud Aleph 41A. It should be 41A1, I presume, in the art scroll, right? Is it 48-1? We started the Mishnah yesterday. 44A1. Yes, 44A1. So let's go we'll review a little bit. We'll go back to the Mishnah, right? So it says the Taltalin Ner Chadash. The Mishnah states you could move a Ner Chadash, a new lamp, a new Shabbos lamp that's made from earthenware, and the fact it wasn't used yet, so it's not disgusting to you, and it is you could use it for other things, like we said, you could put some candies into the holes on the lamp. You could do that. Avalo yoshan. But if the lamp is old, so this opinion says that since it's old, once it was used for lighting and it's earthenware, it becomes disgusting. The way the oil is absorbed in the lamp, and therefore you won't use it for other things but lighting. Therefore, it is mukseh. On Shabbat, you can't light. So therefore, you are separated from this lamp. And even if you didn't use it on Shabbat, right? It was used last week, but it is still, good morning, Simon. It is mukseh, right? That's what we said. Um, so that's what we said about, because we said the way the oil is absorbed in the lamp in the earthenware utensil, it becomes disgusting. But Rav Shimon disagrees. He says, "Kol hanerot metaltalin." All the Simon, we're on 44A1, the Mishnah. We're just repeating the Mishnah. Kol hanerot metaltalin. All lamps you can move on Shabbat. Chutz min haner hadolik b'Shabbat, except for a lamp that's burning on Shabbat. Because if it's burning on Shabbat, if you move it, you might extinguish the fire, right? As long as the fire is on. But this opinion is lenient. It would say that once the fire goes out, you could actually move the lamp, move the menorah, the Shabbos menorah that you're using to light the candles. But we're not gonna agree to that. Um, but that's the difference of opinion, right? Rav Shimon, we said, Rav Shimon is more lenient regarding mukseh, right? We said to meet the bar of mukseh, you need more to be considered mukseh. Therefore, he actually would say that the candelabra that you used on Shabbat and you lit your candles, you lit your oil. Once the oil goes out, you could actually move the lamp. He doesn't hold of the fact that once it was mukseh, when Shabbat entered, because it was lit, it becomes mukseh for the whole Shabbat, right? We said that's part of their argument. Is you say that once something is separated from somebody when Shabbat enters, does that remain separated from the person for the whole Shabbat, Simon? Because it was mukseh when Shabbat entered? Or do we say no? Even though it was mukseh, it was separated from you. It was separated for some other, separated from you not to use when Shabbat entered, but now that the fire went out, I could use it. So like we said, that's not the halacha. You will not be able to use it. Tan Rabbanan. Now we're going to find many different opinions regarding moving this lamp on Shabbat. Tanaban, metaltal ner chadash. You could move this opinion. Rabbi Yehuda said you can move a new ner. You have a new lamp. It was never used before, and now you decide even though it's you want to use it for the general use is for fire, but it was never used yet. So he says it's not. He says it's permitted to be used. He says that that's not. It's not separated from you for use yet because it was never used. It was never used yet. So therefore, you would be able to use it on Shabbat for whatever other purposes of Yashan. But you can't use a lamp that was once used, right? Even though it wasn't used on this Shabbat, but now that it was once used, you will not be able to go ahead and move it. And the reason would be, again, this would be. It seems like the reason is because it was used once for fire. It's earth. It's made out of earthenware, and therefore it becomes disgusting. Therefore, you're separated from using such a thing, which would sound like if it would not be made out of earthenware, you could go ahead and actually move it on the Shabbat if it was not lit when Shabbat came. Um, let's see any of the commentary. Let's see if anybody says any comment over here. Right. So far we're saying when something is used um, it was once lit, right? You have this lamp. The lamp was used, and it's made out of earthenware. So now it has no use but lighting, and it has no use but lighting. And lighting you can't do a Shabbat, so it's a high level. It's a high level mukseh because you're just totally separated from this item because of its. According to this, one of the opinions, because since the item is disgusting, right? That separates you from it, and that will be a very high level mukseh, just like um, stone. A stone, you find a stone on the floor on Shabbat. The stone on the floor on Shabbat has no use for you. What kind of use for it? It has no use. It's a stone on the floor, and therefore that stone is a very high level mukseh on Shabbat. It's not like a utensil that you could just move if you need the place. So the lamp that's made out of earthenware, which is disgusting for you to use because the oil gets absorbed into the. It's not made out of silver. It's made of earthenware. Therefore, that's going to be a very high level mukseh, according to this opinion. But if it's never used, then this opinion says you could move it. Rameya says kol hanerot metaltalin. Rameya holds that it's not that you can move a lamp that was once used before, even though it was a earthenware utensil. You can move it, except if it was used on that Shabbat. Kol hanerot metaltalin. All the nerot you can move, except meaning he doesn't hold of muksa machmat mios. The fact that something has some disgusting thing to it, that it's disgusting because of the oil that's absorbed in it, because he used it last week, he doesn't hold that makes it separated from you from use. But he holds that since you lit it, it was lit on Shabbat, it was used on the only time it would be a problem if it was used on the Shabbat. On the Shabbat that it was used, if let's say this Shabbat, this is the oil lamp that you used, So now that the fire goes out, he holds you can't you that's what you can't use, right? You can't use it because fire was on. When the fire was on, you couldn't use it because you might extinguish the fire if you move it. So now once it's muktzeh for the whole Shabbat. But if you did not use it this Shabbat, use it last Shabbat, even though it was earthenware, even though it's a little disgusting, he says it would not be a problem for using it for a permitted use.
But his Shimon is different than.
Right. Now comes Rabbi Shimon, the third opinion. Rabbi Shimon is even more lenient. He says that even the one that you lit on, that was burning on Shabbat, once it goes out, you could use it on the same Shabbat. Rabbi Shimon says, Chutz min haneh hadolek b'Shabbat. Only from a ner that's burning on the Shabbat. While it's burning, kafta mutar l'taltala. When the fire goes out, he says you can move it. Right? So we have three opinions here so far in the Gemara. One, if something like earthenware utensil becomes disgusting, is that because you used it last week? Is it mukseh for the following week? Right? First opinion says yes, that's already mukseh. I can't move it for any use. Second opinion says if I used it last week, does not make a mukseh for this week. If I want to move it because I need the place, I want to move it because I need to put my candies inside the lamp of the menorah, I could do it. Of the Shabbat menorah, I could do it. The third opinion says, but if I use it that Shabbat, the same opinion, second opinion says, I can't, once I use it that Shabbat, even though the fire goes out, I can't reuse it. The third opinion says I only can't use it while the fire is on. Once the fire goes out, I could use it. Now, I want to see, they quote the Shulchan Aruch, Siman Reish Ayin Tes, Sif Aleph. Let's see what he says over here. Where's it, Sif Aleph? He says, the Shulchan Aruch says, a lamp that you use that Shabbat, even though the fire goes out, you can't go ahead and move it. Now, why? Because like we said, once it was burning on the Shabbat, it was mukseh while it was burning. So we hold that it's mukseh because it was mukseh when Shabbat came, it's mukseh for the whole Shabbat. Now, okay, so this and the Shulchan Aruch says this lamp that we can't move, that was lit, that was burning on Shabbat. What is the chidush? The chidush is that once it was burning on Shabbat, and you can't move it even if you need the place, because it might take out the fire, or even if you want to use it for, I want to move it even if I don't need the place. I want to move it because I want to use it for some other. I want to, let's say there's a it's windy out. It's windy in the house. The window's open, and you don't want the napkin to fly up. So you can't move that lamp even to hold down the napkin, even though that's a permitted use, holding down a napkin, because it's mukseh. It's a high level mukseh that you can't even move for its for a permitted use or for its place. Now, so let's understand the Shulchan Aruch. A lamp that you did not use for this past Shabbat, on this Shabbat, you used it last week, right? If I used it last week, now this week I didn't use it yet, I want to go ahead and use it to hold down a napkin. Hear the craze? I have a candlestick, Simon. I used it last Shabbat. This week I want to go ahead but it's windy. Can I take the candlestick out of the break front that I didn't use this week and put it and let it hold down a napkin from the napkin flying? Or I have a candlestick, has a nice hole in it. I want to put a candy. I want to take the candlestick out on Shabbat and put candies in it. Put candies in it. Technically, it would seem that should be allowed to do that, even though the candlestick is used for what purpose? For a forbidden use. It's used to light. That's the general use of it. But if I want to use it for a permitted use, a utensil, like we said, you could take a screwdriver, you take a hammer and crack, which is used generally for building, which is forbidden purpose. That's called a utensil that's work is for forbidden purposes. I can use it to crack a walnut on the Shabbat. So I should be able to take the candlestick out of the closet on Shabbat and hold down a napkin with it. Because I'm using a utensil that's generally used for forbidden purposes, and I'm using it in a permitted fashion. But the chidush, the novelty here, is that if I have a lamp that I used this week on this Shabbat, it burnt fire this Shabbat, then the fire goes out, I cannot move it to hold down a napkin. I can't move it because I need the place where it's located. That becomes a higher level mukseh once it was used for the Shabbat. Even after it's extinguished. Because it retains the same level mukseh it had when Shabbat entered. And when Shabbat entered, I could not use it for a permitted use because I was afraid I might do a sin by extinguishing it. So the status of it when Shabbat entered, that level of muktzah remains for the whole Shabbat. Even though now that the fire went out, there's no concern that I might come to do a sin of extinguishing a fire. The fire went out. It's 10 o'clock at night. But since it was muktzah when Shabbat came, it remains muktzah for the whole Shabbat. Therefore, I can't move the candles. The fire went out, which, by the way, this is a very common situation that people have on Shabbat. They light candles on Shabbat, right? And they light candles on the table. Now they want to clean up the table. And sometimes you have the tea lights. People like tea lights, they put on the table. You can't pick up the tea lights directly. The tea lights that are extinguished, the fire is off, it's finished. What do you want to do? You want to throw the tea lights in the garbage. I wouldn't be able to take the tea lights by themselves, pick up the tea lights and throw them out in the garbage. Even though I need the place, whatever. Even though I need the place, I'm not able to do that. You see, the question here is going to be, what would be, the fire goes out, the tea lights are on a tablecloth, a disposable tablecloth. So, and you need the place because I want the place to be, but the problem is the thing that supported the tea lights would have the status of the tea lights itself. But if I had on the table, challah, and the tablecloth supported the challah and the tea lights, and now the tea lights went out. So there's a case that you can make that you should be able to throw the tablecloth with the I mean, you're not holding the tea lights by itself directly. The tea lights are on the tablecloth. So that's like the tiltul min hatzad that we learned about. If I'm moving something not directly, because I need the place, right? So now the question would be, would I be able to move it? So I need the place. If it's for Sarah Chadava Hamuta. So now the question is, but it could be that even that we said that when you need, you should, then technically maybe would you be able, would you say you should shake off the tea lights that have been extinguished? But now we're getting into that because we said even when you need the place, even when you're moving something indirectly because you need the place or you need the item. Good morning, Boker Tov. Welcome, welcome. Dr. Rosen told me you were here yesterday.
Yes, I was here. Yes. I know. I think you were on Fridays.
No, Monday through Friday.
Oh wow. Meditation.
So that should be but maybe you might have to shake it off. And then throw the rest of the tablecloth out. We're learning about mukseh. The Gemara is discussing mukseh. And Rabbi Shimon has a very lenient opinion regarding mukseh, which we don't accept. He says if you have, so that would have to be looked in further. He says, Rabbi Shimon says that if a lamp, good morning, Asaf, if a lamp was burning, Friday night, you lit the Shabbat, and you were using oil for Shabbat candles. And the fire, you lit it, and then the fire went out. 10 o'clock at night, the fire went out. Can you now move, if you need the place, can you move the lamp that you was burning for 2 hours of Shabbat? Now the fire goes out. Can you move it? Is it mukseh or not mukseh? We hold that once it was mukseh when Shabbat entered, mukseh for the whole day. Rabbi Shimon does not agree to that. Rabbi Shimon says it's only mukseh while it's burning. But that's not the halacha. We saw in Shulchan Aruch it's still mukseh v'il Shabbat. But once it goes out, Rabbi Shimon says once it goes out, Rabbi Shimon says you can move it. But with that being said, Rabbi Shimon says avokos u'ka'arav shashit. If you have a large goblet, a big cup, where you filled up the cup with oil and a wick, and that went out, then lo yazizam komam. So if you have a cup or a plate, or again a cup, a plate, or a shashit is a big cup, a big glass cup. So those three cases, he says, you can't, even when the fire goes out, there he agrees it's mukseh. There he agrees that there's a difference between the cup, the large glass cup, and the plate, and a regular small candelabra. What's the difference? So the commentaries explain. He said the Gemara is going to explain. We'll see the Gemara. They say the Gemara is going to explain. We'll see what's the difference. Why is that more mukseh than a regular candle? So the Gemara says, Rabbi Eliezer says, Rav Shimon Omer mistapek min haner shekava. You could go ahead and you could have the oil. He holds you could take oil from a lamp that's going out. Generally we say if a fire is going, when you have oil in a lamp on Shabbat, if you take out the oil, you are making the brightness of the fire less. It dims because when you don't have as much oil supply, the brightness goes down. But he holds that if the oil that's in there, if the fire is already going out, if the fire is already on its way out, it's getting smaller.
So you don't get really to dim.
You're not really dimming it, exactly. So he says, similarly.
For a big cup, it does.
Say it again. What?
For big cup, that's how
At least a big cup. Rabbi Shimon. Here we're talking about a new halacha. Here we're talking about, can I take oil from? Until now we were talking about whether the lamp itself is the lamp itself mukseh, and now we're talking about a different point. Can I remove the oil while it is dimming? Right? That is the question. And he has a big chidush. This rabbi has a big chidush, and he says that you could take from the oil and also umin hashemen hametafteif. Let's say not only you could take it from the if let's say oil dripped out of the menorah, I feel dolek. Even if it's burning, it's not that it went out and now there's oil left in the menorah. Good morning. You too. Chag Sameach, Doctor. Great to see you. It's not only if the oil went out, he would hold you could go ahead and use the oil. Even the oil that's dripping while the lamp is burning. Now we would say that oil is mukseh because that oil was designated to be used for burning. So now that that oil dripped out, that's mukseh oil. You can't use it. He holds that you could go ahead and use that oil that dripped out from the fire. Now, comes Abaye. Abaye says, now the Gemara is going to explain. Have a great Shabbat. Thank you for joining. Abaye. So Abaye says, now, in the explanation over here, they say that when you take oil from something that's burning, you're violating mechabet, like we said. If you're taking the oil while it's burning, you can diminish the fire, right? Now, but like we said, when it's going out, when the fire is getting dimmer, taking the oil is not really affecting the light, the strength, the brightness of the light, and therefore there's no problem. And this opinion is based on the fact that he holds that oil while it's burning, it's not mukseh, because he's going to allow you to take out the oil that was in the cup. The oil that was designated for the burning, he holds is not mukseh, and therefore he holds you could take out the oil even when the light is on if it's dimming, and therefore he even allows you to use the oil that drips off, because he doesn't look at the oil that's in this item, mukseh. The only that's mukseh, he would hold. Let's say you can't move the lamp while it's on because maybe you're going to extinguish the fire. But the oil, that's not. I want to use it for my salad. That oil he holds again. It's not going to be the halacha. He's going to say this oil is not mukseh. Um, there are other opinions that explain hakoveh is not. It's not. Doesn't mean that the lamp is dimming, the fire is dimming, and therefore you can actually take the oil out while the fire is dimming. Others learn hakoveh it means that it already was extinguished, and and therefore he's saying you're allowed to you're allowed to take the oil from a lamp that was extinguished, but you not only that, you even could take from the oil when the lamp is on, it wasn't extinguished, but as long as the oil spilled out of it, you could go ahead. Meaning to say, the other opinion is not saying that you could take it out from while it's dim, the light is still going. Rather, when the light went out, you could go ahead. The light, if the light goes out, you can go ahead and take from the oil. And even when the light didn't go out and it's dripping out, you could still take from the oil. That's how some understand. Amar Abaye says, Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, Rabbi Elazar, the son of Shimon, Savala Kavu B'chada. He agrees with his father in one aspect. Shimon is his father, and he argues on his father in a different aspect. Savala Kavu B'chada, meaning in Torah, son and a father could disagree, right? You contradict. You generally don't contradict your father, right? Simon never contradicted his father. He was that type of son. I can tell you, right, Simon? Your father's alive, Simon? Your father's up. Your father, no hesitation, right? And listen, not everyone in this generation contradicts their father, but I think the percentages are much higher, right? And but if you had a different opinion of your father in Torah, you have a right to have a different opinion. Now the question is maybe whether you would say it in front of him or not in front of him. You have to look up the halachot, but you could have. There are many great rabbis have sons, that have different opinions than their fathers. You know, I I would doubt that Yitzchak Yosef agrees with his father and everything of Rabbi Yosef. I would think same thing. They said Rabbi David Feinstein not necessarily agreed with his father and everything also. You know, now the Ilu Avua, his father Reb Shimon holds Sava. He holds that after the fire goes out, the oil is permitted. Of a low kava, but if the fire did not go out, he did not allow low. He would not allow, meaning he would not allow the oil that's dripping. He would not allow while it's on. He would not allow or the when the fire is, if we'll say dimming, even that shot, when the fire is dimming, um, right? He would not. So again, we had the father of Shimon holds. Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon holds, even according to that opinion, when the fire is dimming, you can go ahead and take the oil. Rabbi Shimon would not agree to that. Avu Sava Kava, his father would hold only when it went out. Then you can have the oil. But of a low cover, but if it did not go out, low cover low. The fire didn't. If they didn't go out, you cannot take from the oil. The EU Savan, he holds, the son holds, Afal Gav Lo Kava, even though it didn't go out. So we have earlier, just to bring everybody up to date. We had earlier Rabbi Shimon, it allowed you to have the leftover oil that's in the lamp, right? What happened? The lamp, you had a menorah, a Shabbat menorah that you used for your Friday night candles, and the fire went out. So we say the oil that's in that lamp you can't use. That remains in the lamp. That oil was mukset. It was separated from you for use because you designated it for the use for Shabbat candles, burning. So you can't, right after you can't use it. Rabbi Shimon is lenient. He said, you know what? When the fire goes out, you want to use the leftover oil, you could use it for the salad. His son holds, but if the fire is burning, you can't take any oil out. And everybody agrees you can't take oil out when the fire is burning. But what about if the fire got very dim? If the fire's on the way out, so Reb Shimon would still hold you can't take the oil out, but his son would say once it's dimming, you could take out the oil because it's not affecting. Or similarly, what about the oil that's dripping while it's on? If Shimon just says the oil, whatever's left over after it went out, you could use, but the oil that's while the fire's on and the oil is dripping out, you can't use it. His son would say you could use that oil that's dripping out. His son has even a more lenient opinion of Shimon by Muktzeh, right? So that's now. So the Gemara now asks the question: we said you can't move but Rabbi Shimon would agree that if you have a cup with oil or a large glass cup with oil, you can't use it even after it went out. You can't use the oil. Why are these different? Maishnahani. So the Gemara says, Seifa Amaula Seifa Atan Rabbi Yehuda. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. This opinion is not Rabbi Shimon. this is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. We'll see next week more exactly how the Gemara is answering this question. Okay, have a great Shabbat, everybody. Take care, Asaf.